नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, वड़क्कम। आप सभी को ऑल्टरनेट मीडिया में फिर से स्वागत है। तारिक फतेह सर के बारे में हम सभी सुनते रहे हैं, सभी बहुत पॉपुलर रहे हैं तारिक सर, कई दशकों से पॉपुलर हैं। बट इनकी जर्नी शुरू हुई एक ऐसी जगह से जो आज की डेट में पूरी दुनिया का सबसे वर्स्ट कंट्री की लिस्ट में आता है। ना सिर्फ उसका पासपोर्ट गया, बल्कि अगर हम बात करें रीसेंट डेवलपमेंट्स की, तो जिस तरीके का पॉलिटिकल टर्मोइल देखने को मिल रहा है, मैं तो ये कहूंगी कि तारिक सर बहुत लकी थे कि बहुत सही समय पर पाकिस्तान से निकल आए। आज हम जानेंगे तारिक सर की जर्नी जो पाकिस्तान से शुरू हुई। सर, आपका ऑल्टरनेट मीडिया में बहुत बहुत स्वागत है।
थैंक यू सो मच। आपको रमजान मुबारक हो।
आपको नवरात्रे मुबारक हो सर।
इसीलिए हम ईद इस दफा जल्दी मना रहे हैं। हमारे पाकिस्तान के जजेस को होश आ गया। बट एनीवे,
जी सर, आप बॉर्न थे पाकिस्तान में और आपने अपना अच्छा खासा वक्त बिताया। फिर आई वुड लाइक टू गो राइट फ्रॉम द टाइम।
आई वॉज बोर्न इन कराची, लेकिन मेरी सिंस बर्थ आई हैव कैरीड accidents and near death experiences from a very young age. मेरे पास जो when I was not even 1 year old, a car ran over me and broke both my legs. तो उनकी जो इंजरीज हैं वो अभी तक हैं, मेरे हील पे है. So I have been carrying this wound for 73 years, जिसकी वजह से मैं कई साल तक भाग नहीं सका क्योंकि my knees would hit and I spent a year in hospital in my as my mother tells me, क्योंकि वो गाड़ी भी मेरे फादर की थी. द ड्राइवर वाज my father was arriving from Bombay. उस वक्त आना जाना होता था. तो I slipped from my mom's arms and some ended up. तो बड़े बैंग के साथ शुरू हुआ. I had barely come home, then I was, I think, 2 when I drowned in a swimming pool. वो एक crisis था. For some reason, I had a terrible eyesight and nobody believed कि नजर नहीं आ रहा था स्कूल. I spent about 2 years as a very short-sighted person in my school who had to वहाँ ब्लैक बोर्ड के नीचे जाके बैठ के मुझे कॉपी करना होता था सब. और फिर एक वो रियलाइजेशन आई कि we had become so poor that my parents couldn't afford to buy me eyeglasses. And subsequently, there was an eye frame manufacturer living as one of our neighbors, Eastern Optical, I still remember, who realized this, and I didn't see clearly till I was, I think, 6 when I got my first pair of glasses. तो बड़ा rough and tumble इब्तिदा हुआ हमारी जिंदगी का. And so spent the next 10 years in school in very, very difficult situation because our parents' business had collapsed and we were extremely poor. Sometimes not having food, but every day we एक हमारा मुंबई से ही आया था कराची साथ फैमिली शोफर या ड्राइवर जिसे कहें. वो बाइसिकल पे हमें स्कूल छोड़ के आता था, मैं और मेरी 2 बहनों को, और दोपहर को वापस लेके आता था. He stayed with us for about 15 years and just hoping के साहब की फिर से गाड़ी आ जाएगी. वो आई नहीं कभी. And by the time after graduation from school, which was a Catholic school, Karachi mein, near a place called Soldier Bazaar, which was built for British soldiers arriving in Sindh and heralded by Goans who had come there to settle, to make that Soldier Bazaar for the British army that was fighting in the Afghan wars. तो उस कराची शहर बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग था. When I grew up, it had its own tram system. I witnessed the city being washed every night at 3 o'clock. And then a वक्त आया the only thing you could see on the streets was Pan Ki Peak. It was a completely foreign thing for Karachiites, but it was a staple luxury condiment for the people who had come from Delhi and UP and Bihar, who settled and are now the majority population in Karachi. पहले तो Zoroastrians थे and Kokanis, Goans and Baloch and Sindhis. These were and Gujarati speaking Kutch ke log. They were the main population of Karachi. Today, that language has disappeared. Gujarati spoken by no one. The school system, you could do your matriculation in English or Gujarati or Sindhi, vanished, and now it's been replaced by Urdu. So sometimes you hear those accents and it sounds very funny. But growing up in that city was an absolute amazing experience. My class में there would be people who were Goan Catholics and Anglicans also, but not that many Catholic schools tha. But it was in the heart of Karachi. It's called St. Lawrence's Boys Secondary School. It has till today, it has the only church built in India on the pattern of a mosque. So uska dome bhi hai aur minara bhi hai. If you look it up, St. Lawrence's Church in Karachi, you will see it built that way. While we were in school, हमें उसको खबर नहीं थी कि ये इसकी अहमियत ये है. But quite later in life, I read about how this whole area was developed and how Goans were the main population of that city. Today, they have disappeared. शायद ही कोई Goan रहता है कराची में. They are all mostly in Canada now. And so that was a learning experience that very few people can experience now, because today Karachi has a value system which is not linked to the soil of that country. Its language is Urdu. The name Karachi itself is Mai Kulachi, which is a Baloch name named after a saint called a Balochi woman called Kulachi. तो ये सब हमने देखा. कायद आज़म का मज़ार बनते हुए. At one time it was the capital of Pakistan, and then it suddenly disappeared. It was quite a turbulent time during my school times. You could see there was a dictatorship of Field Marshal Ayub Khan at that time. We experienced that in school during the strikes. But once I graduated in 65 and went to college, our first days of college were consumed during the 1965 war. And till the 6th of September 1965, Indian newspapers were freely available in libraries and bookstores. So college में हमारे पास Times of India आता था, weeklies थे, Illustrated Weekly of India आता था, and the late August days, the war was taking place in Jammu and Kashmir at that time. The Pakistan Army in civilian uniform had invaded the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir. So we would read the Indian side by the Indian papers that came to our college, which was Karachi's top college at that time. Even now, I think it's called Adamji Science College. And then on the 6th of September, those newspapers stopped and they never came back. No library ever had Times of India. और मुझे याद है बॉम्बे से ब्लिट्स एक मैगजीन आती थी, ये सब कट के खत्म हो गया. And the next time I ran into an Indian for the first time uh, or read something came in 1978 when the Indian team, cricket team, toured Pakistan after 1960. 1960 was the last time Pakistan went to India to play a test series, which was drawn. And the next time the Indians came back was in 1978. Um, my last year in Pakistan. And uh,
Why was it your last year in Pakistan? क्या हुआ पाकिस्तान में जो आपने
after
छोड़ दिया?
65, uh, in 1967, I was elected as uh, my student union general secretary. And in 68, I was also the Secretary General of the National Students Federation, which NSF, which was allied to sort of what would be called the CPI of Pakistan, the Communist Party. And this was a largely student group of socialists or Marxists who gathered together to sort of understand India-Pakistan affairs or international affairs from this context. So, वो 1968 December 3rd को my house was raided and I was arrested. Or was it November? I wasn't 18 yet. I know that for sure because after my arrest, some of my relatives, my Taiuji, who was a commander in the Navy, and even my mama, who was a naval commander, and another uncle was a military officer, they got me out and had me sent over to a village somewhere in West Punjab, completely different place. I was there is a punishment called externment. So you are barred from leaving a certain area. So I took this train and I had to live there for a few months till uh, another general, Yahya Khan, took over and Ayub Khan was gone. So I came back. And then again in 1970, I was in Karachi University when had to go to another imprisonment. And this time they sent me to a prison in Balochistan. It is a prison made in 1929 on a hilltop called Mach, MACH. And uh, spent a tough time over there. The crows over there were ravens, and they were
But
huge.
like, what exactly did you do that you were not even 18 और आपको तड़ी पार कर दिया when they sent you to the
Uh,
western part of Pakistan?
Defense of Pakistan rules का वारंट था आर्टिकल 36 or 31 having acted in against the sovereignty of Pakistan, and you were interned indefinitely. Use पे था indefinite imprisonment, and which because I was not 18 was then changed to externment to live in a village called Laiya, Leiah, from which place and a number of Hindu and Sikh families in 47 had gone over to India. So Laiya was a place I stayed, figured out what is agriculture and peasants' lives and all that. But again, by March 1969, I was back in Karachi. And 1970 was back again because there was martial law. And this time we were convicted by a colonel whose name I still remember. His name was Ainul Haq. And he imprisonment. I have a photograph of my fellow traveler to that prison who is also a close friend and lives in Toronto with me. In fact, he was here last night. And he and I, there's a picture of us in हथकड़ी को क्या कहते हैं?
हथकड़ी चलेगा.
हथकड़ी चलेगा, अच्छा. बट हम इतने छोटे थे कि हमारा हाथ उसमें से स्लिप कर जाता था. तो police that was taking us to Balochistan for the prison, उनके साथ फिर डील हुई कि जब स्टेशन आएगा तो हाथ डाल देना उसके अंदर, क्योंकि they were worried कि some officer might come and they would be then punished for not imprisoning us all 14 hours of the journey tied up to a third class railway compartment. So the Intizar, my friend, and me, we were sitting across each other for hour after hour. Her hand was stuck like this, and it would fall out of the katkadi. And then an officer would say, अरे तुमको बोला है हाथ अंदर रखो. अरे भाई नींद आए, फिसल के गिर गया. देखता है कैसे नींद आती है, उल्टा लटका दो सालों को. Anyway, the train reached much. It was, we went up a long hill and entered over there, and subsequently spent a long period of my life. Oh God, it was terrible. They would feed us वो मिट्टी का तेल नहीं होता इंडिया में, होता हुआ. It's a drum with wheels at the bottom, and they would serve us shorba in that. You'd open the tap, the tap would open, and a mug was the only thing, and the roti was like we had to dip in that shorba and eat, and most of the roti had black coal behind it. It was horrible, but they assigned us to work because it was called rigorous imprisonment. So we were teaching these tribesmen from Balochistan. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. क्या सिखाएंगे उनको भैया. But there was a library जो नेहरू जी ने छोड़ के गए थे वहाँ. I remember finishing that book. It's a 6-volume edition of the Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, I think. बैठ के पढ़ के थक गए खुदा. And that prison had the superintendent came and said, "Hey, इधर आओ, सब चलो." साथ लेके क्या उधर, ये पता क्या एरिया? मैंने कहा नहीं, I don't know, I haven't been here that often. इसने कहा ये कब्रिस्तान है. तो जेल का अपना कब्रिस्तान था, and the walls had electrical wires over it. तो बोला ये कहाँ से गिरे? मैंने कहा सर भागते हुए गिर गए इसके अंदर. बोला बहुत स्मार्ट है बच्चा. These were people who were trying to escape. They would get electrocuted. They would fall down, and then the jail would dig a graveyard. The body dump कर देते थे. Nobody cared a damn about it.
Right then and there, मतलब electricity लगी पीछे.
फिर बोला ये कब्रिस्तान जाना है. मैंने नहीं, अच्छा चलो आगे. Then there was a political leader. I remember, I'm just reliving these things. He was one of the greatest Pakistani politicians that I've read or known. His name was Khairbakhsh Murray. You could say he was the president of Luxembourg. I mean, he was a huge freedom fighter, Oxford educated. So we ended up after Ramzan having the Eid prayers. So they couldn't find a mullah in the prison to lead the prayers. So suddenly somebody came and said, okay, this guy is, he can lead the prayers. Well, who is he? So he said, sir, he raped his daughter, so he's under 25 years. This guy is going to lead the prayer.
Are you serious? मतलब somebody who's raped his daughter is going to lead the prayer?
Yeah, because nobody else knew Arabic. So अभी सुने वो क्या हुआ? Khairbakhsh Mari was so upset. His son is a good friend of mine. He was seething and laughing and he'd be crazy. So what he did, he went over when the mullah was on the ground saying Allahu Akbar. He picked him up, put his hand on the face of the mullah and carried him away. So all of us are still on the ground, like Muslims go in the sajda and we are there. Now, on my right is my friend who's a Shia, so he doesn't know how Sunnis pray. And he said, now nobody's calling Allahu Akbar, so nobody can get up. So about 300 people are stuck on the ground. There's not a whisper anywhere. And then one guy picked up his head and he screamed in Balochi that Lord has lifted that mullah for the punishment and he's gone. And helter skelter broke out because the mullah was not there. So people freaked out. This was a sort of a jail riot. And where did he go? He went into the ruku, he said Allahu Akbar, and then he disappeared. Nawab Khairbakhsh Mari had put his hand on his mouth, picked him up, and dumped him somewhere else. Suddenly this man appeared and this politician said, this is our state. First of all, I'm an atheist. I don't have to pray. I'm also a communist. I don't have to pray. And then you make me pray behind a guy who has raped his daughter. Are you guys stupid or what? Then he said a few kind
मतलब लक्षण पहले से ही थे to go मतलब पाकिस्तान right from the beginning had its points कि ये state गया है.
Things were so funny. That was an amazing year. There was a Nawab of Bahawalpur, the state of Bahawalpur that joined Pakistan. This Nawab of Bahawalpur would get good food, and we were eating crap. So there were 2 of us and 3 other students from elsewhere. We developed a plan to steal his food and eat it because there was nothing eatable in that whole place. I swear, I've eaten leaves. I had to chew banana leaves because somebody said, "Bada meetha hai." There was a joke on me. So I said, "Ye bhi meetha hota hai." I took it off. So we stole chapatis and biscuits from his tent and he made a ruckus. Mere biscuit kisne li? This was like comedy in a prison. And in one cell, there were 3 men, 2 Hindus and 1 Muslim, who were from Kashmir, Indian spies that had been arrested and kept there. And they had been tortured by having nails hammered into the heels. So they all 3 used to walk on their front toes. But because the Hindus were of a senior class or sect, this Muslim guy was always supposed to walk behind them. I asked, problem kya hai? इसकी तो जात ही ठीक नहीं है, बदनसीब जेल में फंसा हुआ है. But Indian spies were kept there without notification to anyone, and they were treated under absolute horrendous laws. Their screams would be horrible to hear. And you're young, you're about now, I'm 19, 20, and I'm observing all this. It was quite traumatizing. And then we were released. We took a train to get to Karachi. And so many, it's how you get formed in your life. I wanted to go to the washroom in the train, and right at the entrance of the toilet, there was somebody sleeping, dust all over him. Balochistan is a very arid, dust-blown, hot place. So I nudged him that I want to go to the washroom. He turns around, and that man was running against the Khan of Kalat for the member of parliament issue. but he was on the floor over there. ये इस टाइप के लोग भी थे पाकिस्तान में, dedicated. He recently passed away, Dr. Abdullah Baloch, and he was there. I said, Doctor, what are you doing here? He said, वो खान कलात के against election लड़ रहा हूँ मैं. And you always hear of politicians being like that. Your faith gets re-energized when you see dedicated people, and he was there. But we arrived back in Pakistan, in Karachi, and then the 1970 war was taking place. Bengal was erupting. In 1970, elections took place. And in March 1970, the Pakistan army slaughtered hundreds of students in Dhaka University. That was a turning point. I lost faith in that country that day. And I signed up for the Mukti Bahini. These are the freedom fighters of Bangladesh. And on the day of the war, we had 500-600 Karachi University students marching in solidarity against the Pakistan army for the Bangladesh freedom fighters. And so I knew this was not my country. It was 1970, but I knew the people who massacre their own people and have such a racist view of dark-skinned people. This is no place to raise children, family, study, or do anything. And I saw that period working as a journalist in the Karachi Sun, which came out on August 10th, 1970. And I was working there as a reporter for 100 rupees a month. That was what you call a cub reporter's salary at that time, just 100 rupees a month. And learned immensely at the feet of some of the amazing journalists who had seen the Second World War and who were senior editors over there. उनसे काम सीखा सब. ग्रेजुएशन बायोकेमिस्ट्री में की. इस दौरान इश्क भी लड़ाया. और वो नरगिस जो आजकल हॉस्पिटल में, उसके साथ डेट करते थे. और फिर मुश्किल से शादी की, क्योंकि शी इज शिया एंड आई एम सुन्नी. I am Punjabi, she's Gujarati speaking. This is like a bizarre combo you will not find anywhere in the world. No Punjabi has ever married a Gujarati. No Shia. It's quite bizarre, but we had a good time. And then I was working in television by 1972. The crimes of Mr. Bhutto started coming up. People were being shot dead just for being opposed to him, but he was known as a Democrat, and it was just horrifying. And I said, if the left wing is like this, if the right wing is calling for blood, we got to get out of here. And so I was charged with treason while I worked in Pakistan television. And so the third military dictator, which is Ziaul Haq, in his time, I was charged with sedition and expelled from Pakistan television and barred from seeking any employment in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And so these were the worst times of my life, absolutely penniless with a daughter, wife, and it seemed like a dead end. Somebody suggested I leave journalism and do advertising, and it turned out I found a lot of fun in it. My first day in advertising was when someone said, in advertising you have to remember a simple thing. We don't sell lipstick, we sell kissable lips. And it struck me, oh my God, this aspect of communications is even more corrupt and lying than print journalism. But anyway, I did worked 10 years in advertising in Saudi Arabia.
But I remember you telling me that there was a point of time when you will knock on doors for job, journalistic job,
Yes.
and some kind of fatwa was issued against
No,
you.
no, it
So you
was the martial law government had said he cannot be given a job. And my wife got fired, and we were just locked out. There was only way out was a panic button to find myself in a completely new profession. And I think that good luck played a part in it. I was visiting this advertising genius of Pakistan, chatting with him, and he was making a presentation for life insurance ads. And I said, I think the best ad would be if you say you can get your life insured without paying a penny. So he asked, would that work? I said, the provident fund of every employee can be redirected his contribution to life insurance. For that idea, he hired me and took me with him when he set up an advertising agency in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And so 10 years in Saudi Arabia, I did advertising. Later, I was advertising manager for one of the largest Saudi conglomerates. It's known as Jufali Brothers. I don't know how large they are then. At that time, it was, and this was purely advertising that I did. I did Hajj twice over there. I did it in '78 as a Shia, and in then '82 as a Sunni, with my mother, my wife, and my daughter. And it was an amazing experience.
So
It
was
is
Saudi Arabia better than Pakistan at that time, or they were on the same grounds?
any place would be better even today than Pakistan because Pakistan is a lie. Saudi Arabia में क्या है वो कहते this is where Islam was born. It's like Hindustan is where Hinduism grew. There's no denying of it. You don't like it, चले जाओ कहीं और. But पाकिस्तान तो वो झूठा मुल्क है जो कहता है कि we have come here with God's message to turn the infidels into good human beings. And if they believe in the multiplicity of the Creator, our job is to kill them, slay them. So how could Pakistan be? Saudi Arabia doesn't have this form, neither Iran nor Turkey, because they all are secure in their identity. A Saudi knows he's an Arab. He doesn't have to put on an act and become an Algerian. The Turks are similar. They're Turks. The Central Asians who kicked out the Eastern Orthodox Christians and took over the land, and now Turkey is Turkey. Iranians are Persians. Bangladeshis are Bangla speaking. These Pakistanis have no clue that they are the sons and daughters of people who pillaged, raped, plundered Hindustan and ran away with their daughters and then conquered the territory and said, God has given it to us. Where does Bhagwan come in the picture? Chhoot bahut bolte. And I don't blame them because nobody tells them that their identity is Hindustani because Hindu word comes from Sindh, Sindhu, from Indu, the river that flows in Pakistan, doesn't flow in India. You're from Mohenjo-daro, you're not from some fancy place in Morocco or something. But they genuinely believe we are not Indian, we are Pakistani. Arey bhai, what Pakistani? You're the bastards of Timur and Babur and everybody who came and raped and plundered India. Oh, and now you're walking around very happy. I am a bastard. Take a look at me. There are 20,000 Muslim Hindu women from Sindh taken and sold in Damascus in the year 711. And आपको शर्म नहीं आती? So
And they are not even able to accept the fact कि ये उन्हीं से पैदा हुए हैं.
अरे कई किसी से तो पैदा हुए ना. Strictly mathematically, no female army came to this country. Muslim armies of comprising men invaded this country. Muslim men are being told by the holy book that they can take 1, 2, 3, 4, or what their right hand possesses. That means you can take 4 wives and as many concubines as possible. And they accept that. Now it's party time. तो क्या करेंगे आप? You start believing in lies, then you enact those lies inside you, and then live the lie, and are proud that some guy came, Mahmud Ghaznavi, and destroyed Somnath 17 times. And it is the pride with which the Indian Pakistani Muslim says that we destroyed the Hindu temples. Anyone else would be ashamed. These guys say yes, we, good people, we kill all, break temple, build, uh, the Banaras mosque. So there is no possibility. Indian Pakistani Muslim has, and that also I mean the northern Indian Muslim has no concept of accepting the truth. Every Iranian knows that his forefathers were Zoroastrian. Every Turk knows they came from Central Asia. Egyptians know they came from the Egyptians, ये अपने आप को पता नहीं आसमान से समझते हैं कि there was a special airborne division and God sent all these Muslims to airdrop on Delhi and Agra and Surat and whatnot. We have crossed the stage where we could ever face the truth. So any time you get out of that mess and you respect the land that you belong to and you own up to that culture and heritage that the Hindu represents, you can only cleanse yourself. You can simply be happier and accept the truth. But India has a motto that says the truth will always rise. We don't have any such qualms of ever speaking the truth. We lie about Mr. Jinnah. Mr. Jinnah lies to himself. He runs away with his friend's daughter, lives in sin for 2 years, but he's still Qaid-e-Azam. And Indians, they still have his photograph in Aligarh University. So, किसके पास जाके रोएंगे आप? But I then had to figure out, before my daughter turns 10, which in Saudi Arabia would have been compulsory hijab, I had to get out of that country. And then we applied for, immigration to good old Canada and landed here November 6th, 1987. And it was probably the best decision I ever made because we met some of the most civilized people on earth that live in this country. It's incredible how different they are from Americans, or how, because of the French English divide, they are people who compromise and live and let live without notions of superiority or anything. Canada hasn't invaded any country or done anything. It's पंजाबी में हम कहते हैं बीबे लोग ने. बीबे means पप्पूस.
Oh, Papu, okay.
87 के बाद हम यहाँ आ गए एंड तब से बैठे हुए थोड़ी बहुत सैक्रिफाइस करके बच्चे बड़े हो गए, हिंदी बुढ़े हो गए, चल रही है जिंदगी.
बट वहां पर काफी अच्छा लग रहा होगा कंपेयर टू पाकिस्तान. अभी तो लगता होगा कि अच्छा भाई ये मुल्क छोड़कर हम निकल गए थे सही समय पर.
It's not easy to settle in Western lands for the simple reason, if you come alone, and find yourself a position and then get out and get married and have a family. But if you already have a family and you are close to say 40 at that time, it's tough. Where are you going to work? My first job was in very, it was just receiving packages. It's called receiver. जनरल स्टोर के अंदर वो फेंकते थे, कार्टन के डिब्बे मुझे कैच करके रखना पड़ता था. दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट जॉब. It was brutal, low paying, and tearful for me. During breaks, I would just break down. I worked at Burger King, and one day somebody didn't want the burger because I had prepared it. I was just devastated. But
Why? I mean, you had prepared it.
वो अब तो कोई हालात बेहतर नहीं. देयर आर ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ पीपल. ये कोई था जिसको मेरा रंग पसंद नहीं था, तो उसने कहा could you make
अगर आप
sure
गोरे
that.
चिट्टे हैं, कलर में तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, यू लुक
हाँ,
फाइन.
हमारे कलर में है. बहुत आपको नहीं पता होगा. हमारी हरकतें बड़ी माशाअल्लाह. हमने अपने साउथ अफ्रीका में जाके कालों के साथ क्या किया, अंग्रेज की गुलामी ले ना हम. तो हमसे चिढ़ने वाले तो बहुत दिल खोल के चिढ़ते हैं. मुसलमान भी हैं, इंडियन भी हैं, दुनिया में बम भी फोड़ेंगे. इट्स वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. तो चल रहा है, बट जिंदगी थोड़ा थोड़ा बेसमेंट में बैठ के आपसे गपशप कर रहे हैं. यहाँ कॉलम भी लिखते हैं अखबार में. फॉर 10 years आई डिड अ शो ऑन टीवी कॉल्ड मुस्लिम क्रॉनिकल. इसमें बहुत
हाँ,
सारे
फतेह का फतवा वाज आल्सो वेरी फेमस. सर, आप मीडिया में कैसे हाईलाइट में आए? व्हेन यू डिड यू स्टार्ट स्पीकिंग अगेंस्ट द मतलब
कहाँ पे वो
वेयर डिड इट बिकम?
फतेह के
हाँ जी.
फतवे का. नहीं,
हाँ.
फतेह का फतवा ये था कि देयर वाज अ शो on a TV channel in India, in which one of the participants was a mullah, and we had a discussion for about 10-15 minutes on uh, what he thought of Aurangzeb and what I thought, and his contempt for Indian civilization was uh, tolerated by the host, by everyone else. And so that same gentleman, the name escapes me, he was in ZTV, and he said, why don't we do a show in which there would be only Muslims? And ये जो आप दोनों की बहस हुई, why can't we do that? I said, करें. We did it. It was the most watched show in India, but there were 10,000 women in burqa outside ZTV surrounding me, asking for my blood. There was a hitman sent by Chota Shakil. There is a character called Chota Shakil from Bombay who lives in Pakistan. He sent a hit squad to kill me. And as late as last time when I was coming back from India, I had a call from a friend in Germany who said, under no circumstances take a flight from India that overflies Pakistani territory, because that plane will be diverted for something. So I then had to fly to Bangalore and take a flight from Bangalore to Dubai, which was by connecting flight, so that I would have no chance of overflying Pakistani territory. I would disappear. I would dissipate like smoke if if they wanted to, like the death threats that I do get. What was very troubling for me was that there was a death threat, and when I complained to the police, it turned out the policeman in charge in Toronto himself was a Pakistani, and dismissed the inquiry and wanted to allege that I was making a false claim or something like that. This was, I mean, this might be seen in Canada, but this is the reality. twice I've had death threats where police have interfered, and their superior has come over, and he turns out to be a Pakistani.
Deliberate two times because one can be coincident, but second time, I mean, or
आप मैं क्या बताऊं कि इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर जो हमारे भाई लोग हैं उन तक ने दे हैव figured out things and passed on information about me. आप हिजाब पहन लें, your access to the whole world will open up to you. People will fear you, and the left will try to show deep respect for your traditions, and you can walk all over them. You've seen how that Minnesota congresswoman changed the law of Congress of covering of head in a matter of 1 hour after she was elected.
true.
That's the reality we face. They are well organized, well informed, with a focused mind, and their opponents are worried about Wales and Greta and, you know, green gas and this and that. वो दुनिया को तबाह करना चाहते हैं, ये लोग जो है उसको ब्यूटिफाई करना चाहते हैं. Corals are dying, corals are dying. अरे यहाँ लोग मर रहे हैं भैया, बम मार मार के खत्म कर दिया. Oh, the coral reef is change its color. अरे भैया हमारे रंग बदल गए. 20 लाख बंगाली मारे इन्होंने, तुमको कॉरल रीफ की पड़ी हुई है. वेस्ट ये अपने जो है ना, आपके अमेरिका में टीम्स खरीदते हैं, फिर प्लेयर्स का ऑक्शन होता है, इसी में मर जाएंगे आप देखिए. इनका मेन इंटरेस्ट ये है. व्हाट अबाउट दोस बंगाल्स? अरे उनको बंगाली कह देते, बंगाल्स क्यों कहते? गो गो सॉक्स गो, पता नहीं क्या वो उतर गए. बाइडेन का बेटा चोर बन गया है, तो बाइडेन भी वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को देखिए, वो जो आपकी हसीना क्या है नाम उसका, कमला हैरिस लुक्स लाइक वो है ना कमलनाथ शो,
कमल हसन.
वो एक इवनिंग का कॉमेडी प्रोग्राम है ना, उसमें जो एक औरत बैठती बिल्कुल कमला हसन की तरह हंसती है वो.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting
अर्चना समथिंग,
अर्चना पूरन सिंह.
हाँ उसको बना दे वाइस पे, दोनों ऐसे. कमाला हैरिस उसने इडली खा ली और बस जान छुड़ा ली, बोला बस इंडिया के वोट तो पक्के हो गए. अगली दफा बिरयानी खा लेगी पाकिस्तानियों.
अच्छा खासा जिसको बोलते हैं बनाया है, बुद्धू बनाया है इंडियंस को.
He was in Montreal attending a Hindu temple when she and living over there practicing Hindu, but when she came back to the US, she got, Hindu is not sexy. What should I be? Like a black. Oh yes, I'm black. I'm black. उसका बाप बोल रहा है ये fraud है, ये black नहीं है. He refused to attend her swearing in. इतनी झूठी वाइस प्रेसिडेंट इलेक्ट हो गई है. एक जमाना था आइजनहावर इलेक्ट होता था या JFK इलेक्ट होता था. बड़े बड़े लोग हैं, बेंजामिन फ्रैंकलिन के लिखे हुए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, ये सब है. वो सब आके आपका बाइडेन के बेटे का क्या नाम है, हंटर बाइडेन. हंटर लिए पैसे कमा रहा. ट्रेजन, यूक्रेन 10 million, चाइना 15 million, लूटो लूटो. There's nobody of principle left over. George Bush Jr. looks principled in front of this lot. यूक्रेन में जंग करा दी, बताइए.
जबरदस्ती की कराएंगे सर, जस्ट टू फिल देयर
भाई
पॉकेट्स.
वो उनका सिंपल डिमांड था कि नेटो में नहीं ज्वाइन करना. ये नेटो नहीं ज्वाइन करते, अब कह रहे नेटो में हम नहीं जाएंगे नेटो में. अरे भैया अमेरिका के बिक गए 50,000 टैंक इस चक्कर में. वो जो ओनर है उन टैंक फैक्ट्रियों के, वो बिलियनर बने. जैसे आपके कोविड-19 में कितने लोग बिलियनर बन गए. उन्होंने कहा और मरो हमारे पैसे बन रहे. धर धर. ये जो वाहियात किस्म की कैपिटलिज्म है, क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म, इसमें अकाउंटेबिलिटी नहीं है. आप रूस के लोगों को देखें तो अमेरिकन क्या कहते हैं, ओलिगार्क. सुनो ओलिगार्क. बाइडेन ये उसको IBM वाले को कोई नहीं कहेगा, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वाले को कोई नहीं कहेगा ओलिगार्क। वो हैं ब्रिलियंट इंटेलेक्चुअल जो फ्यूचर देख रहे हैं। कोई आसमान में जा रहा है, कोई जमीन के अंदर जा रहा है। रूसी सारे ओलिगार्क है। तो वी आर लिविंग इन अ वर्ल्ड इन विच एवरीथिंग इज डिफाइंड बेस्ड ऑन हु कैन स्क्रू whom। और उसमें हमारी जो है मुसलमानों की कौम, वो मरने के लिए तैयार है। आप
तो
लोग
उनको 72 हुरों से मिलने का बहुत ज्यादा शौक रहता है। क्या करें,
नहीं,
उनको यहाँ पे इससे ज्यादा ऊपर का चढ़ा हुआ है, तो क्या करेगा
आना
वो?
है ना, लेकिन आपके लोग क्या करें, पहले हम बड़े होके CEO बनेंगे। अरे भाई उसके बाद क्या करोगे, फिर हम मर जाएंगे। कुछ नहीं। जितने इंडियन CEO अमेरिका में है, वो इंडिया के लिए कुछ नहीं करेंगे। वो बोलेंगे भी नहीं कभी कि ये जो अखबारों में लिखती, न्यूयॉर्क टाइम्स में तुमने देखा कितनी इंडियन आंटियां लिखती रहती हैं अगेंस्ट इंडिया। कभी को आता है उनके रोकने के लिए? अभी किसी ने यहाँ टोरंटो में लिखा, मोदीज फैशिज्म विल नॉट सक्सीड। अरे भैया, तेरे को क्या मुसीबत है? तो ये खैर, दिस इज द स्टोरी। आगे यहाँ बैठे में डाउनटाउन टोरंटो में रहते हैं। ये मेरा बेसमेंट है। और
जब
थोड़ी
आप सर, जब आपने इतना सब, फतेह का फतवा शुरू हुआ, आप जी न्यूज
जी।
पे भी आ गए, आपने बहुत वोकली बात करनी शुरू की कि अल्लाह का कुरान और मौलवी का कुरान दोनों
हम्म,
अलग है।
हम्म।
आपके थ्रेट्स अटेम्प्ट तो बहुत हुए होंगे, फैमिली को भी काफी
कंफ्यूज भी हो
परेशानियां
जाता।
झेलनी।
देखिए, ये मैं कोई नफरत से तो कह नहीं रहा हूं, ना मुझे कोई प्रूव करना है। मैं तो सीधी बात कर रहा हूं भाई। तुम कहते हो कि कुछ नहीं चेंज हुआ कुरान में, ये मैं बता रहा हूं जो तुम्हारे वर्ड्स में है कि ये चेंज हो गया। द फर्स्ट चैप्टर इज बिकम चैप्टर 96। मुझे सिर्फ इतना बता दो ये कौन चेंज कर रहा था, और अगर चेंज जिसने किया उसने और क्या क्या किया। So stop in your tracks and think about it. कि ink did not exist, paper did not exist, pen did not exist. 99% of people were illiterate even up to the 18th century. दुनिया में लिटरेसी थी नहीं। जिसको लिखना आता था वो एरिस्टोटल होता था अपने जमाने का। तो ये कुरान जिसने लिखा है, ये कहाँ है पहला लिखा हुआ कुरान? को मुझे बता तो दे, ये जर्मन्स के पास कैसे पहुंच गया? और फर्स्ट कमांड ऑफ जो कुरान है, रीड इन द नेम ऑफ द लॉर्ड हु क्रिएटेड यू फ्रॉम अ क्लॉट ऑफ ब्लड। एक प्रोफाउंड सी लाइन है। वो कैसे चैप्टर 96 बन गई? तो मुझे कोई दुश्मनी की बात नहीं है। मैं तो सीधा कह रहा हूं कि अरे होश की दुआ करो। Why can't you be simply rational and answer this question? That the third caliph burnt every copy of the Quran. Why? And where are they? Did nobody have a copy of the Quran? And somebody came and burnt every existing copy of the Quran? At least we can talk about there's a possibility to make it as the, you know, last word uttered by God and heard by every ugly mullah in India who ascertained it. 9 साल की बच्ची से शादी करो, वो खुमैनी साहब करें इनको करनी है। Why are you making us embarrassed and ridiculous that aged Arabs from UAE fly to India, Hyderabad, and buy girls for $5,000? ये रह गया हमारा। Why should we be proud of that and why shouldn't we reconsider that? तो ये क्या कहेंगे? मैं सामने बात कर रहा हूँ। Answer these questions. Have a turn. Just tell me where I am wrong. मैं तो नहीं किसी से कह रहा। If Islam says that every night the sun sets in a pool of mud, can you please tell me where is that pool of mud? बता दो, या नहीं बताना है तो नाराज नहीं हो। So it's not out of any contempt or hatred. I've defended Muslims at every stage. I've done TV shows that project them as equal fellow human beings. I don't have an axe to grind. My point is, when will we start thinking rationally? थक गए जादूगरी कर करके. यूं चुटकी बजाओ तो 2 जिन आ गए, 3 चुटकी बजाओ तो इमरान खान की जिन आ गए. वो एक देखिए, एक औरत जादूगरनी, वो न्यूक्लियर कंट्री चला रही है, क्या नाम है, बुशरा बीबी. उसके अगेंस्ट कोई नहीं बोलता.
सैड स्टेट है ये सर, क्या कर सकते हैं. एंड द प्रॉब्लम इज कि रिफॉर्म नहीं होना चाहते हैं. दैट्स द मेन थिंग.
रिफॉर्म भी नहीं करना भाई. जैसे गाड़ी चल रही है, पेट्रोल नया डालो ना, इंजन ऑयल चेंज कर लो. मैं कब कह रहा हूँ रिफॉर्म करो, ये इंजन बदल लो, कुछ ही करो. वो पतला हो गया, उसमें नया इंजन ऑयल डालो, फिर थोड़ा आगे चलेगा, नहीं आएगा. कौन कह रहा है गाड़ी बदलो? आप मुसलमान हैं, गॉड ब्लेस यू, वन ऑफ मेनी रिलीजन्स. बट आप रुके हुए 9th सेंचुरी में, उसके बाद आप गाड़ी स्टार्ट ही नहीं करते. अरे ठंड में स्टार्ट नहीं होती. अरे भैया ऑयल चेंज कर, चलिए खुद ही गाड़ी चलेगी. रोजा एस्कीमो वो इक्वल ऊपर नॉर्थ के अंदर 25 घंटे का चल रहा है, या नीचे जो है वो 2 घंटे में खत्म हो रहा है. कोई तो सोचने वाला हो ना भैया, क्यों हो रहा है, इसको स्टैंडर्डाइज कर दो. येलो नाइफ के अंदर मर जाता है आदमी रोजा रख के. सहरी करता है, 1 घंटा सोता है, 25 घंटे सूरज ही नहीं आता. You know, there's so many things every day. Why do you have to slaughter sheep in front of kids? Who told you to do that? अभी इंडिया में देखिए वो बहस चल रही, झटके का गोश्त नहीं खाएंगे. अरे भाई, सिख कहता है कि do not inflict pain on animals. It's a better thing. You know, I'd rather eat jhatka than halal, because jhatka means that the animal suffered no pain. हमारा शौक है कि पूरी आरी से काटो, बच्चे बुलाओ, बकरे का खून बह रहा है, सब तालियां बजा रहे हैं, अल्लाह अकबर अल्लाह अकबर, एंड ट्रॉमेटाइजेस अ चाइल्ड, क्योंकि वो 1 महीने से उसे पाल रहा है एज अ पेट, एंड नाउ यू आस्क्ड हिम टू स्लाइस हिम डेड.
एंड सर मैंने इस आपने क्योंकि हलाल की बात की, मैंने एक चीज और भी सुनी है, जैसे जो मुस्लिम फैमिलीज में जो सबसे छोटा बच्चा होता है, आई थिंक 4 इयर्स ऑनवर्ड्स, ही इज द वन हु सपोज्ड टू डू द हलाल थिंग.
He's not supposed to, but people think if he sees that, वो जिहाद, वो किसी से नहीं डरेगा. इनको
4
बस
साल का बच्चा.
इनका जहन कुश्ती और दंगा फसाद से नहीं जाता. वो को मैथ नहीं सीखता है. माँ बाप को ये नहीं होता कि यार ये गिनती सीख गया 200 तक की, या टेबल जैसे होते थे, 13 का टेबल बड़ा मुश्किल से याद होता था. यू नो, बट वी आर स्टक इन अ क्वैगमायर, जिसे कहते हैं ना, दलदल मिट्टी होती है, फंस गए उसमें. 1930 की गाड़ी है तो वो फंसी हुई है उसके अंदर, चल ही नहीं रही. गुड़ 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 आप करते रहे. देयर इज नो डिजायर कि मत करो 4 शादियां खुदा के वास्ते. बेटियों को प्यार करने दो, जिनसे शादी करना चाहती उनसे शादी करने दो. तेरा क्या बिगड़ेगा? क्यों जुल्म कर रहे हो बच्चियों पे? यू नो,